Good morning. My name is Alexandra Mora, and today I'm going to be talking about The Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. The story is about a student who is in love with a girl, which is the professor's daughter, and he wants to go to a ball with her, but in order to do so, he has to bring her a red rose. He is desperate because he cannot find a red rose in his garden, and so he starts crying when a nightingale who is near hears him and empathizes with him so much that she goes through the entire garden trying to find the red rose. Eventually, she has to give up her own life and sacrifice herself for the student so he can find the red rose and bring her to the daughter. So, when he takes the rose to the professor's daughter, she rejects him. Why? Well, because another suitor already gave her jewels, and for her, jewels are more important than flowers. So then the student goes on home, sad and thinking that love is useless. There are a lot of characters in the story, starting up with the nightingale, which is a bird that is known for her beautiful song. We can assume that the bird in the story is a female because there are lines that say her voice was bubbling like a silver jar, or that she had a nest in the home oak tree, which we know that female birds are the ones that have nests. We can also gather from the story that the bird is selfless, romantic at heart, and altruistic. She sacrifices her own life for the student's true love, and that says a lot about her. Another important character is the student. The student is a philosophy student, and has dark hair, red lips, and a pale skin. He is referred as wise in the means of philosophy. But what he cannot see is that the professor's daughter is actually playing with him and playing with his feelings, but he cannot see this. So that's a bit ironic, isn't it? There are three rose trees in the story. The first rose tree gives white roses, the second rose tree gives yellow roses, and finally the third tree, which is the most important one, gives up red roses. The third tree is the most important one because it's the one that tells the nightingale that she has to give up her own life in order for the tree to give up the red rose. The winter has chilled its veins, and she can't give up red roses. So that's why the nightingale has to give up her life. The professor's daughter is another important character in the story. This is the one the student is in love with. She can be defined as materialistic and shallow because she rather have jewels than have the flowers that the student gave her. She is not well defined in the story. These are the only details that we know. The lizard, the butterfly, and the daisy are natural elements that are important in the story. These are scenic elements, and they scoff when they learn that the student is crying over a rose. The plot of the story is presented in chronological order, but it also has elements of foreshadowing and drama. For example, in the part where it says, "There is a way," answered the tree, "but it is so terrible that I dare not tell it to you." The tree is actually warning the nightingale that it will have a terrible ending for her if she wants to get the rose. He is actually foreshadowing the death of the nightingale. Drama can also be seen in this part. "Look, look," cried the tree. "The rose is finished now." But the nightingale made no answer, for she was lying dead in the long grass, with a thorn in her heart. Here we can see the dramatic end of the nightingale as she died sacrificing herself for the student. In the story takes place especially at the student's garden. Here, all the natural elements are animated, which means that the trees, the animals, all can talk, feel, and think like human beings. It takes place in a time where there are princesses and there are balls, and the atmosphere here can be felt as a little bit magical in a sense and also exciting, especially when the nightingale is about to be dead because of the thorn in her heart. When the part where she is singing for the rose to grow and eventually she dies, here the atmosphere turns, I wouldn't say violent, but I would say a little bit tense. Also, the story takes place at the end in the professor's daughter's house. Here, the atmosphere is a little bit awkward, and especially because the girl rejects the boy after he takes the flower to her. It also feels kind of sad because the boy goes sad to his house because he is being rejected by the girl he loves. Love is a theme that is very present in this story. Especially, we can see it when the student is in love with a girl and he is being rejected by her because she doesn't like him back. We can see that the story proposes that love is not always corresponded and does not always go both ways. Sometimes you fall in love with someone and someone doesn't love you back. So this theme is very present in the story. Finally, the last theme that we're going to talk about is materialism. All the human characters in the story are the perfect examples of materialism. Why? Well, the student, first of all, needs a rose to manifest his love. A rose, a material thing, instead of manifesting his love some other way, he needs this to tell the girl that he loves her. Second of all, the professor's daughter can be seen from a materialistic point of view because she thinks that jewels are better than flowers. That's why she chooses the Chamberlain's son instead of the student, because the Chamberlain's son gave her jewels and the student gave her flowers. For her, jewels are more expensive and are more important than the flowers. Finally, the story suggests that ultimately people don't value sacrifices that others do for them, which is the case of the nightingale. She sacrifices herself and gives up her life. She ends up dead for the student, and he doesn't value this. He doesn't care that the nightingale died in order for him to have the rose. Ultimately, when he finds out that the girl doesn't want him, he throws the rose in the floor and he goes on with his life. So the sacrifice the nightingale made ends up being in vain because no one noticed her sacrifice. Stylistic devices are also very present in the story, starting with personification, simile, and also sensory image. Personification can be seen from the natural elements in the story. We can see that the trees and the animals can talk and also feel pain, think, and rationalize. We can see it from the nightingale's point of view when she is thinking about love and thinking about how beautiful love is. We know for a fact that animals cannot think and cannot rationalize. So this is a human trait that was acquired by the nightingale and given by the author. Simile is also very present in the story, and we can see it in this line. His hair is as dark as the hyacinth blossom, and his lips are as red as the rose of his desire. We can see here that the author is comparing his hair as hyacinth blossom and his lips as a rose. Sensory image is used very much by the author in the story. We can see it because it helps us, the readers, visualize what is actually happening. So, an example of sensory image in the story is this one. So the nightingale pressed closer against the thorn, and the thorn touched her heart, and a fierce pang of pain shot through her. Bitter, bitter was the pain, and wilder and wilder grew her song. For she sang of the love that is perfected by death, for the love that dies not in the tomb. here we can see and we can visualize the pain that the nightingale was going through when the thorn was going through her chest. This helps us understand how much the nightingale cared for the student and how much she loved the idea of love and how she didn't care to sacrifice her life for the student. In conclusion, I can honestly say that I really like the story. It sheds light on what love truly is, which is sacrifice. Sometimes we do stuff for people that don't value what we do. We sacrifice ourselves, we sacrifice our lives for people that don't really see it. And I think the story has a really deep message on what love truly is. We sometimes we do stuff for people and we keep doing it even though they don't care because we care for them and we want them to be okay. And I think that the author really displayed well this theme in the story. And I think that the elements he put through all the story helped us really understand what was going on and the deeper message that he wanted to bring us. Also, I think sometimes people are blinded by materialism that we don't see what is right in front of us is really the most important thing, which is love and friendship. And I think that the story has a really beautiful message that we can all learn from and hopefully we can apply in our lives. So this is it for today and I hope that you enjoyed my video and I hope that you can learn a lot from it. Thank you.